In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 tips that you can use if you're considering joining Toastmasters or you're in Toastmasters already and you want to get the best out of your experience. Quick primer for anyone who doesn't know what Toastmasters is. It's something that is a pretty much official national public speaking group. There's many chapters all across the country and it's quite well known. A lot of big people like Tim Ferriss and the Art of Charm podcast and tons more have recommended it as a social skills group that you should join. So let's just get started with number one. Number one is sometimes you have to understand that you have to compromise for the better good. So what do I mean by that? When I first considered joining Toastmasters, I showed up and everyone there was twice my age. And I wanted to meet people who were my age and make friends and so forth. And I was discouraged because there wasn't any people there. Having said that, the world isn't always perfect, and this was the best communication skills group or meetup in my area. I don't think there's even anything around personal development or anything like that that's an official in-person group. I couldn't find one. So I could have just sat there and done nothing, or I could have joined Toastmasters and sucked it up and at least developed my skills if I didn't meet anyone my age. And that's ultimately what I ended up doing after some thinking. Second thing that you can do if you're considering joining or you're already part of Toastmasters is embrace the discomfort. At first, I really didn't like the idea of stepping up on stage and speaking, but over time and very quickly, I started really enjoying it because it was off the cuff, it was improv. I could talk about anything I wanted sometimes when it's the improv section, they call it table topics, to a certain degree, and it was ultimately something that I started enjoying a lot. So you never know once you actually start trying something. Plus, even if I wasn't comfortable or I was still nervous, and I still sometimes get nervous with public speaking, I will realize and focus on the benefit that I'm getting from it. Which brings me to number 3. The third thing that you can do that might be helpful is to focus on the pain. For me, when I focused on the pain of what I didn't have, I was really motivated to do something like this. And you're either motivated by going away from pain or towards pleasure, as Tony Robbins says. And I was a little bit of both. I wanted to earn more, live more of my dream life, but I also wanted to get away from all those awkward social interactions and the complete lack of positive social interactions that would occur. I was often very nervous and shy, and it would sabotage me. So that led me to number 4. Number 4 is don't judge a book by its cover. When I say don't judge a book by its cover, I'm talking about other Toastmasters, that's what they call their members, and yourself and other people that you see. Because what we find, and this is very true for me, is that we miscalibrate. Sometimes we overestimate our ability, sometimes we underestimate it. And if you've ever seen me talk, you might think that I'm average or maybe slightly above average at what I say and what I talk about, and I seem fairly natural. However, I am under the surface very, very scared, anxious, nervous, and that sometimes sabotages me from even beginning to speak. I'm very quiet in groups actually, and I often find myself in awkward situations if I ever do initiate. And it really frustrates me and it fuels me to do better. So you might think that someone's good or bad, but you never know until you get feedback from other people. So realize the value of other people evaluating you from a more objective standpoint. Number 5, when you're at Toastmasters or you're there, communicate and network with other people. This is something that goes beyond just Toastmasters, but any type of social gathering. You see, what happens is that you expect the group to naturally force you to make friends and stuff. But what happens for shy people like me is that you sit there and you wait for someone to talk to you, and they don't. Maybe they're shy too, maybe they're not interested, or they're busy and they don't notice you. That tends to happen a lot. And you end up exiting the whole meeting without talking to anyone or doing anything there because you're too shy to initiate anything. Now, if you're a member of specifically Toastmasters and you sign up to be part of one of their segments, like the speaking segment or the evaluating segment, that won't be a problem. However, if you're not, that is a problem, and you have to have some initiative. So that brings me to number 6, which is have many goals if you're intimidated. Maybe it's too intimidating for you, and I know this is for me, to speak on stage, or this one's huge for me, talk to new people. For me, it's devastatingly tough to talk to new people. It may not seem like it, but it is, and it's probably due to some like past trauma or something. I'm not really sure. Most likely, definitely due to some type of rejection in the past that I've harbored within me. However, what I've done to kind of help, and I've seen this work slowly but surely, is baby step it with small goals. My goal isn't to deliver a epic public speech. My goal isn't to, you know, win over this stranger and become the king of the room. That would scare me to death with nerves. Instead, my goal is simply to introduce myself. And then if I'm really brave, introduce myself and find out one interesting thing about that person. That's it. This is a tip that has been echoed by many social skills masters like the Mating Grounds podcast, The Art of Charm, and many other people, the No More Mr. Nice Guy book and group behind that and community. So try it out for yourself. Number 7. This one's huge. If you want to get good at speaking or public speaking, practice and prepare outside and whenever you can. Put yourself in situations where you can do this. I know the club is good, but also put yourself outside of those situations once a week or once every 2 weeks, which is usually how often these clubs meet, is good, but it's sometimes not good enough. For me, I've noticed in these meetings, you may have one chance to speak for 2 minutes or 5 minutes. That's usually how much they'll give a standard member because there's so many people there and they have to be evaluated. So that's not a lot of training, and no disparaging of Toastmasters. I think it's a great organization, but to succeed in this world, whether it's baseball or sports or writing or public speaking or communication, the more you put in, the more it will help you. Obviously, there's diminishing returns, but when you're first starting out and it's a difference between 10 minutes a week and an hour a week, those will be disproportionate returns, not just, small gains. You'll get a lot out of that. So find places in class, at work, wherever, to do the most that you can. That brings us to tip number 8. Realize that you have to go out there and find a mentor. Now, this may be cliche, and I think Jack Welch said it best. Here's what's not cliche about it. A mentor doesn't have to be this official person who follows you around and checks in on you every single day and blah, blah, blah. We've put all these standards on mentor, and it's almost nowadays been looked at as some type of father-son relationship where this guy has to follow you around. That's not the case. Jack Welch, I was reading his book, Winning, and he says that a mentor doesn't have to be so formal and crazy. He has had mentors that were younger than him and were paid less than him and so forth, that were more skilled in a specific area of a business than he was, whether it was a new industry or for him it was a new plastics and auto part that he wasn't familiar with. And he learned from these people, and they were just mentors for 5 months and then he moved on, or they only saw each other once a month. But in that sense, he describes a mentor more as a teacher or helper. So in that way, if you can find people that teach and help you in or outside of Toastmasters, it will help guide you and improve your performance. Rather than just being that guy who just kind of sits there and attends the meeting and leaves, it's good, but it can be better. Number 9, it's tied in with that, is assess and learn creatively and analytically. What do I mean by this? Assess and learn creatively and analytically. It simply means when you're doing this, listen to other people speak. Start taking apart what they did wrong and what they did right and how you can improve from that. I caught myself a few times in meetings and watching others just kind of dozing off or starting to think about something else or getting slightly bored. But then I get excited again, I realign and I focus and I get excited about what I can take apart and learn from these things. You can also do this in YouTube videos, in public speeches of successful people. But at meetings, what you get is something different, which is you get to see average to below average people screw up. And those mistakes are very clear and obvious, and they're easier to take apart. And you might not find them online because chances are a good public speaker doesn't make many mistakes that are obvious. So you can't really figure them out and learn from them so you don't make the same thing. So don't just sit there and actually get to work. 10th and final tip, this has to do again with something that I can't say I particularly like about Toastmasters. To be honest, I don't like it. However, you know, this is not me disparaging or taking a jab at Toastmasters. I am a member. I am just saying that this is something that you should be aware of, and then you should actually leverage so that you get better at it. One thing I don't like about Toastmasters is that there isn't as much evaluation as you want. So a huge part of social skills is to get objective feedback, as I mentioned, from people who can tell you the truth about how you're acting, because you tend to over or under judge how well you do. And for me, that could definitely be a huge thing. I have all this anxiety and fear and all these nerves behind the surface and all these things that are screwing me up, and maybe I think I'm doing horrible when on the surface I'm doing fine. And the problem with Toastmasters, in my sense, is that there's not much evaluation. The only way that you really evaluate it is if you sign up to be one of their public speakers at the event with a prepared speech, and they usually give 2 or 3 people per meeting the opportunity to do that. Other than that, you only have the improv section, and those people only get about a minute to speak, and they're only evaluated on how many ahs, ums, or uhs that you say. And the problem with that is that I've heard from real public speakers and real effective communicators like Ryan Lee, a very successful entrepreneur, that uhs and ahs don't matter as much as you think. Now, I still am cognizant of them, and I kind of push them aside or improve upon reducing them when they tell me that I've said it so many times. However, Ryan Lee, the very multi-million-dollar entrepreneur, he said, if you study the top public speakers like Obama, they'll say ahs and ums too. It's more about whether you deliver your message. So I don't like the fact that it's kind of slightly over-focused on those pauses or intangible words, and it's not focused enough on the other things, the message. And what happens is that some Toastmasters I see who are really experienced, they're really good at communicating, but they also sometimes become like robots, and they kind of speak very mechanically because every word is prepared out. And I don't want that to ever happen. So speak naturally and really get outside of Toastmasters and stick around after the meetings and talk to people and get real feedback from real people beyond just the 1 or 2 evaluations you'll get if you sign up to have a prepared speech that day. I think Toastmasters is a great group, and obviously talked about a lot from all these personal development themed entrepreneurs, and it can be discouraging, or you might not want to join because no one there is your age. But spin it around. Think about it in this way. If you're doing this and investing at such a young age, and everyone else is old, and there's been a few groups where this has happened to me. Like, I went to this like life insurance group. Everyone there was like 60. I was the only one crunching the numbers at my age. At first I'm like, this sucks, there's no hot girls here or whatever. And maybe it does suck, but just keep in mind that you are getting ahead of the race, and by the time you're their age, you're 40 years or 50 years old, you'll be twice or 3 times as rich. You'll be enjoying life that much more. Think of it as that investment, and good luck to you. Plus, you can go to other activities later on that do have the girls in it or whatever else. And of course, we all have limited time, but trust me, it's worth the investment, especially if your social skills are below average. As always, thanks for watching, and I want to thank you personally for watching until the end. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button below for free value bombs like the video you just watched whenever I upload new videos. And of course, the real conversation happens on my website, willyoulaugh.com. You can go there and leave a comment, and there's a higher chance that I will read it and respond on there. And make sure, if you're a helpful and ambitious person, to take the extra step and join my email newsletter on my site, willyoulaugh.com. That's where you will get into my VIP list, where you get some of my best discoveries, best content emailed straight to you, including updates, giveaways, and value bombs that I release nowhere else. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.